Washington, Texas, Sugar Bowl, down to the wire. Man, what a game. What a game. I did think there when Washington was up 2 scores that the game was over there in the second half. But the first half, both teams scored 21 points. You go in there tied at halftime. Both teams trading punches in the first half. Joe, the biggest point in this game was that fumble. Washington goes down and scores. Texas gets the ball back. They fumble. Washington gets it. They kick the field goal. Dude, that was the turning point. We just got done talking about Alabama and Michigan and one little mistake hurting you very badly. Well, that was the one that Texas could not overcome. I do got to say this, and I'm going to say it because I know Washington fans want me to say it. I'm here for it now. I was wrong. All right? I was wrong. Okay? You're a good football team. I don't think you should have won the Joe Moore Award. I digress. But you're really
every time you say something nice about them, you take a shot and then you move on.
That's not a shot. That's not a shot.
A little bit.
They're a really freaking good football team. Now, Joe, one thing that is for sure, okay, of all the things and all the stuff that we talked about during the college football season, even more than Washington fans, even more than me saying I did not believe in them, I took more heat from Texas fans over the last month saying that their secondary was complete ass water, all right, and that they could not stop the three-headed monster out wide with McMillan, with Polk, and Adunze. Well, okay, I was wrong on Washington. Was not wrong on this Texans secondary. They are not good. It bit them in the ass. What did you see throughout this game?
Well, I also, just to add to that, even if Texas's secondary was just slightly better, it wouldn't have mattered. I think that there's maybe 2 secondaries in college football that could realistically keep up with that receiver group, and it would probably be Georgia and Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only 2 that I could realistically come up with. Maybe Michigan's going to put up a good fight, but their corners are not at the level of Georgia and Alabama. But to this point here, I feel really like a broken record. It's really redundant, everything that I've said on a weekly basis with Washington, and why I've always said this whole season why I believe they're the most dangerous team in college football. The minute that you turn the ball over or you make a mistake or you go 3 and out and you allow them, they don't march down the field. They blow their way down the field. They fly down the field. They can move the ball and get these completely demoralizing, back-breaking, long receptions that sets up touchdowns. As soon as they go up 2 scores, it takes the air out of you and you're chasing them. You're trying to play their style of football. That's what happened in this game. And if it wasn't for the boneheaded, stupid shit that happened at the end of it, they would have won the game pretty handedly. The game would have been done. It would have been over. There was a lot of insane stuff that will never, ever happen in a football game, the series of things that just happened for Washington again. But the way that they played was how they're going to play against Michigan, and it's why I'm picking them to win the national championship. They just are too fast to keep up with, and Texas couldn't do it.
Well, let's see what happens with Johnson, their running back. He kind of came out at the end of the game there.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Really interested to see what happens with him going up against a really tough and physical Michigan team. But look, Michael Penix Jr., what did I tell you all offseason? Now, just because I thought that Washington was a team, I thought Washington defensively was bad. I never thought offensively that they were bad. And that's the biggest if there's one thing that hurts my heart about any takes that I've had this year, is people think that I thought that Michael Penix sucked. I never once had an inkling. I said that he's had underperformances, like again throughout the season, Stanford, Arizona, whatever. He's had games where he's not been fully there. Tonight was not one of those nights. Throws for 430 yards, just absolutely ripping Texas's secondary alive. So many good plays by the wide receiver core. I think Dylan Johnson, and look, something that we talked about, that running game did not get going well. Dylan Johnson had 21 carries, 49 yards. They could not run the ball that effectively. It was actually Penix with those little quarterback runs up the middle. I think he had 3 carries, 30 yards. Those were big-time runs throughout the game. but it was Jalen Polk who had 122 receiving yards. It was Odunze with 125. Jalen McMillan who had 58 but had to score there late. That's what separated Washington and win this game. But Joe, I gotta say this: Texas got away from running the football way too early. After that fumble happened, it seemed like they did not want to run the football. Let me just read something off to you. C.J. Baxter, 9 carries, 64 yards. Jaden Blue, 9 carries, 59 yards. Quinn Ewers, 8 rushes, 54 yards. Joe, they ran the ball for 180 yards on 29 carries. They were running it down Washington's throat. They got away from it. They got too cute. Sark out. How do I say this, Joe? He
got outsmarted.
He outsmarted himself. Joe, they're running the ball down their damn throat. Why he is not continuously running the ball when he's having massive amounts of success? Dude, we got Quinn Ewers, okay, throwing the ball 43 times. Joe, he missed wide-ass open dudes all night.
And they kept getting tipped. They kept getting tipped.
Yeah, the first drive that they had, he had three passes.
Yeah.
You're not having that much success. Even at the end of the game, you run a fade route in the back of the end zone to Donnie Mitchell. He has no idea where it is. They run that wheel route to Worthy earlier in the game. He's just running. Joe, he catches it. He's gone. They're going to score. Why they got away from running the football is, bro, I'm just going to tell you, it's mind-boggling to me. I'm literally through the whole game, I'm saying to myself, run the ball. They're not stopping. Run the ball. And they just got away from it way too early. But that offense from Washington is no joke. It's going to be good to see and fun to watch them against a Michigan team. Sark outsmarted himself way too much tonight.
Well, the worst games that he has a tendency to do that for whatever reason. He's a brilliant coach, but he just does this thing where he overcomplicates everything, and it leads to issues. And I wouldn't go out and say that DeBoer outcoached him. He outcoached himself, kind of like you're saying. But it's insane to me that after watching what happened to Oregon, and everybody with two eyeballs acknowledging and saying that Oregon is very similar to Texas, that after all of that you wouldn't try and do all the things that Oregon failed to succeed at. And what I'm talking about is that
you're dead on here. Continue on.
They tried to do this stupid dink and dunk passing attack. It felt like, why? What? That's the crazier part. When you hear 40 passing attempts, you think, oh, they were throwing the ball all over the yard. Maybe that's what that was. But the reality of it, they were getting too cute and simple with it. They were not coaching to win. It was coaching not to lose. Why they didn't send more constant pressure at Michael Penix, like we talked about, to get in his face, to lead to him throwing picks or maybe a fumble. He was unscathed the whole freaking night. And then on top of that, we saw in the end of this game where they almost came back, they started taking shots. They started taking shots down the field and along the sideline, and they were freaking connecting on them. Right. Why did it take you until 9 minutes left in the game for you to do that? It is unbelievably stupid that they did that after everything that we saw with Oregon. And again, it just kind of goes in line, though, with what I was saying earlier, that you end up making stupid mistakes in trying to play catch up against Washington because they're that good offensively.
One thing that I thought Texas would do that Washington wound up doing was time of possession. I did not. I honestly felt that Washington would go out there throwing haymakers. I did not think that they would just constantly let Dylan Johnson run. Okay, we're getting 3 yards. It doesn't matter. We're going to continue to run the football all night long. It doesn't affect us. Joe, the time of possession kicked Texas's ass. And late in that game, it wound up showing there defensively. I thought that they were tired along their front seven. I thought Washington just kept hitting them with body blow. A lot of third downs that I thought that it was a crucial part in the game that, man, Washington came up with. They went 3 for 11, but those 3 were on critical downs and in critical times. The whole first half, nobody, if you remember, nobody converted a third down in the first half. It was Quinn Ewers' scramble was the first third down conversion of the game, but they kept holding on to the ball. They ran the clock down. I don't understand the game plan, and I think you're dead on accurate when you try to get in a shootout with a team like Washington. That's not your game. Now, we'll talk about the national championship game. I'm not picking against Washington. I'm not doing that tonight. But what I would say, Michigan won't do that. They will not play your game. They will play their game, and they will run the football. They will continue to do what they do. But they're such a really good coach football team is Washington. And they did everything they need to do. They are the most high-flying offense this year, not named LSU. Now, you're going to say I'm biased. Okay, whatever. But they're right there with one another. I mean, he threw for 430 yards. I mean, outside of Penix not being able to really tuck it and run like Jaden did all year long, you cannot stop them. But let me bring this up because we talked about, all right, both teams going into halftime tied. Okay, Washington gets the ball first. They score the touchdown. Texas has the fumble. Washington gets the field goal. Stop right there. Texas has 4 plays and a punt. Washington gets the ball back. Here's what really killed Texas. Washington got a field goal, but they had a 12-play, 58-yard drive that ate up 6 minutes of the clock. Texas is down 34-21. Joe, they have another fumble and they have another turnover. That's it. That was the ball game. There's no other, and I understand that Sark probably at those moments felt pressured and like, hey, we got to get the ball. We got to throw it. And I don't disagree with him. You would wind up coming back down and scoring on a 10-play drive. You get 72 yards. But, man, those turnovers in the second half, it's a backbreaker, and it's ultimately the game. I thought in the first half that both of these teams were evenly matched. Washington made the adjustments. They got the turnovers. It ultimately was what it was.
I actually disagree with that. I even though the game was tied, I really could tell that Washington was, especially because I knew that they were getting that opening kick, that they were that was when they cook. You know, that's when they pull away, that when they can open the second half with the football and then they can really start to apply pressure. I want to add this too. It's a little bit of a shot, but the general public's lack of understanding and lack of football IQ, I think, showed up with talking about this game and talking about Texas, because all I heard about all year long was Texas's defensive line. And I felt like what we learned in this game is that they just got a bunch of big bodies and they don't have any pass rushers. You know, they don't have anybody that can get after the quarterback. And
they didn't send enough pressure either, though. Like
they did, and that was the problem, is that they couldn't get home with by just sending 4, and then they would have to send pressure, and they didn't even try to send pressure. The thing that bugs the hell out of me is I got all these stupid Texas fans being like,
I don't think Michael Penix got sacked all night long.
I don't think he did. They sent 4-man pressure, and that was all they did. All I heard, though, what my final point here is, all I heard all year was Devondre Sweat's so freaking good. They couldn't even have him on the field half the time because they knew that they were throwing the ball and that he can't get any bit of a pass rush. He's not a pass rusher. He can't get to the quarterback. He's a defensive lineman that's a nose guard one technique that just eats space. That's all he is. He's not a first-round pick. He's got a low stamina, and he couldn't keep up with being on the field. I could have told.
Never mind.
What? No, what were we going to say?
Sounds like me in the bedroom.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Low stamina. Okay. Only has one technique. Okay.
That's how I know we're coming up on 50 minutes.
I mean, look,
Jesus
you said
Christ.
that one. I mean, I'm a married man with 2 kids. Low stamina, fat, low stamina guy with one technique. I mean, that's just the truth. Those 2 turnovers broke the back. But you know what's also interesting? First time since 2014, 10 years. Crazy how those things work. We don't have an SEC team in a national championship game.
That was my first thought after Alabama lost.
Yeah.
And you can't even claim Texas.
Oh, I wouldn't claim Texas. I'm so glad Texas lost. I picked them to win, but I don't like Texas. All right, Wicked Bronco Productions with 2 super chats here. Joe says,
Thank you.
Cheechigan just got the easiest path to a natty appearance ever. Imagine bragging about beating the worst Nick Saban college football team ever. Washington's going to score all over Michigan's team. Notre Dame will catch these cheaters in 2024 college football playoff.
I like the random Notre Dame bit thrown in there.
And he also says with a $10 super chat that these refs wanted Michigan and Texas in the natty so bad, even if Michigan wins the natty, it will be vacated anyways. Why do we stop the clock for the defense injuring a player? Well, you got to stop the clock when a player's injured. UW 2023 national champs. Your thoughts on what he said with those 2 super chats?
I disagree on the officiating thing because there were plenty of calls in the second half. I think that went against Michigan that were, I mean, the perfect example is the Terrion Arnold tackle to not get any extra yards on that. I just think it was a poorly officiated game in general.
On both sides. I mean, even Joe, to be real with you, even the Bama, they're running into the kicker. Like, I mean, that's a first down. All right. Like, I get the Michigan fans being mad. That's
actually wait. Can I? I'm going to say something that's going to be obnoxious.
Oh, God.
Look, I've been around enough punters in my life. Those fuckers are the biggest floppers that I know. Okay, that was a flop.
But it should.
Did that guy happen to be within a foot of him and he fell over? And
no, they replayed it. He got hit.
He bumped into him, but he flew as he bumped into him. That was one of the worst flops that I've ever seen. I know these guys. I know how they act.
Land though, you can't. You got to allow him to land after he kicks. You got to allow him to land. Now, Bama's punter carried them throughout the night. By the way,
yeah, he was. I mean, the field position shit was why
they were in the game.
Came down to what it did.
Right.
Yeah. BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your #1 source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. Bet online, where the game starts.